What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV. What's good with y'all, man? So we back at it with another one. Just listened to an interview Eddie Hearn did with Coogan Cassius and IFLTV, in which Eddie Hearn stated Coogan Cassius asked him about Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz rematch. What's the holdup? Why hasn't it been announced? Why hasn't there been a date, a venue set, agreed upon? Is Andy Ruiz Jr., is he difficult to negotiate with? And things of that nature, right? To which Eddie Hearn responded and stated that Andy Ruiz Jr. is not hard to negotiate with because he already knows where he stands. He already knows his place. He already knows what he agreed upon. He said, listen, Andy Ruiz Jr. didn't work his way into this position. He was chosen out of a pool of fighters and given an opportunity. So he knows what he agreed upon, and he knows the legal obligations that he have. He knows, regardless of what he says out in the public eye, he and his dad are good stand-up guys. They know what they agreed upon. They know what they have to do. He then stated that Andy Ruiz Jr. really has no say-so in where the fight takes place. Andy Ruiz Jr. has no, no voice in he has no voice. He has no power when it comes to negotiating where this fight take place. If this fight was to take place, if we want the fight to take place in the UK, guess what? It's going to take place in the UK. If we want this fight to take place in the States, then it'll take place in the States. He says that, I'm sure that Andy Ruiz Jr. wants this fight to take place in the States. He doesn't want to fight in the UK. But any person on our side with any sort of common sense would say this fight needs to take place in Cardiff, in the UK. For numerous reasons, but the glaring obvious is Anthony Joshua fights better over there. He made his debut over in the States. It didn't bode well for him. He said that, who knows? Maybe it was the time zone difference. Maybe it was the atmosphere. Maybe it was the buildup. Maybe it was preparation. Who knows? But we know at the end of the day, he came up short when he crossed the seas, right? And so everybody knows he fights better over in the UK. Well, he only had one fight in his professional career in the States. So when he says that, meaning Eddie Hearn, when I say he, says that he fights better in the UK, that's obvious because he only had one fight outside of the UK in his professional career, and he came up short. He was dropped 4 times and stopped. So obviously, you would say that he fights better in the UK. Right? Because the percentage. You only had one fight in the States and you lost. So of course, right? So with that said, he says that, Andy Ruiz, if he tries to break the legal obligations, then, Coogan asked him, is he going to be stripped of his titles or anything of that nature? And he said, no, he won't be stripped, but he won't be able to fight, and it'll be a legal mess, dumpster fire, right? Where they would be going back and forth and things of that nature, and court systems get involved and all types of stuff, right? So he stated that, that would be the issue, that would be the outcome. So, but he's saying that Andy Ruiz was given this opportunity and he knows what he owes us pretty much, right? And I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing at that, with that. Eddie Hearn didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing, okay? Because I know people going to say, oh, I watched the interview and he never said that. No, he didn't say that. I'm telling you, he didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing, okay? I'm saying, and I'm cutting it short. So in other words, he's saying that, he has no leg to stand on when it comes to negotiations. Obviously, he's going to have demands. So Eddie Hearn is stating that, obviously, he's the A side, is what Coogan Cassius was alluding to. And Eddie Hearn was pretty much debunking that, saying he has, some say-so because he is the other fighter. But when it comes to the big decisions as far as dates, venues, and things of that nature, where the fight take place, Andy Ruiz Jr. has no leg to stand on, right? Andy Ruiz Jr. is out of luck because he signed a contract and he has to abide by it, right? And Eddie Hearn is stating that, Andy Ruiz got an opportunity. They gave him an opportunity, and he owes them, pretty much, is what he's saying. And I'm paraphrasing again, right? He owes them to run it back. And I would have to say, yes, he does owe Anthony Joshua to run it back, because Anthony Joshua did not have to give him an opportunity. Anthony Joshua did not have to choose Andy Ruiz Jr., okay? Actually, it seemed like Anthony Joshua was looking to choose Luis Ortiz, and it seemed like Eddie Hearn and company felt like Andy Ruiz was a better option. And Eddie Hearn admitted that, they felt like Andy Ruiz would give him the best fight. I don't think that they expected that. I think that they definitely thought that he would put up a good fight, but seeing his stature, his size, his appearance, he's not in the best physical shape to the naked eye, and it seems like, it should be an easy victory for Anthony Joshua, but that chose not to be the case, because we know Anthony Joshua was actually looking to choose Luis King Kong Ortiz, who everybody thought Anthony Joshua was out of his mind due to the fact that Luis Ortiz was a Cuban southpaw, and you don't want to take him on a short notice, right? So they felt like, obviously, that Andy Ruiz was not as much of a threat as Luis Ortiz. But that proved not to be the case, because we see the outcome, right? But hindsight is always 20/20. So with that said, it seems like Kugan Casters also asked Eddie Hearn if Andy Ruiz, was a difficult, guy to negotiate with, right? And it seems as if he's trying to make light of it, but I believe at this point in time, Andy Ruiz is identifying his worth, and I think that he may have signed a contract that he's looking back at now and having some sort of a slight regret that he did it, just wanting to get the opportunity to prove himself. So I think that he could have possibly put himself in a position where, he was overzealous, took whatever, just to get the opportunity, and now he bet on himself. But now in doing so, you still legally bond yourself to something that now you're feeling like your worth is more than that. Like Andy Ruiz comes out in the public and he says, I'm the A-side, I'm the boss now, right? So this is what Andy Ruiz has been coming out lately and saying. But legally, he may have put himself in a position where he doesn't have a choice. You understand what I'm saying? And I think the stalling tactic, I think the issues with this is, I believe that Andy Ruiz and his company, his team, are trying to find ways to loopholes to get out of certain situations. Eddie Hearn said that, he said that he had a big mouth, and because he opened his mouth and said that the fight would be announced at a certain time and it wasn't announced, that people were holding him accountable for that. But he's saying that, that wasn't actually the date. He was just saying that, he wasn't being literal. He's just saying that it was going to be announced soon. But with that said, people took him for his word and felt like you was going to announce it when you said you was going to announce it. And now he's stating that, the fight will be announced by this weekend. And I'm thinking that he said that we'll make a decision, meaning that himself, Anthony Joshua, and team and company, right, will make a decision as to where and when the fight will take place, right? I think that Anthony Joshua definitely looking to have this fight back in Madison Square Garden. As Eddie Hearn repeated what I said in his interview, he says, back to the scene of crime. You guys know that's what I've been saying since the moment Anthony Joshua said that he wanted to have this fight back in Madison Square Garden to redeem himself, right? I told you he wanted to right the wrong at the scene of the crime where it all took place. Now Eddie Hearn repeated it, right, in his interview. So, with that said, You know, I believe that they're having issues with negotiations with Andy Ruiz, because Andy Ruiz identifies his worth. Andy Ruiz is trying to find loopholes to not have to what do you say? How do you say it? I think he's looking for a way to not have to you know, oblige by what he already put on ink to paper. You know, he's looking for a loophole, not out of the fight, but ways to be able to say, listen, I want this fight here. We already went by your rules, now you play by my rules. We already played by yours. But the problem with that is that he already agreed upon something. And I truly believe that he agreed upon something. Now he's having cause for pause, because he's feeling like, man, at this point in time, look at my star power, look at my worth, it's going through the roof. And now I gotta go eat peanuts again. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to eating filet mignon, I'm back to eating peanuts when I should be eating filet mignon. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that that's become an issue, because I think that Andy Ruiz Jr. is having cause for pause, and I think he's dragging his feet, and that's what's holding up the negotiations. I think that Anthony Joshua is like, listen, let's do it back at Madison Square Garden, which is up Andy Ruiz Jr.'s alley. He wouldn't love nothing better. But Team Joshua and Eddie Hearn don't like their chances of going back to Madison Square Garden, right? So they feel like they like their chances, as Eddie Hearn stated, that Rob McCracken, who's Anthony Joshua's trainer, will obviously much rather have the fight take place in the UK at Cardiff. Their team would much rather have the fight take place in the UK. Anthony Joshua wants the fight to be in Madison Square Garden in the States, which should trump everything, right? But you know, they're in his ear, and they're trying to get him off his square and tell him, listen, the best situation is to come home and have this fight. Don't go back to the States, right? You got everything to lose. So you done got one person on this shoulder telling him what he shouldn't do, and he got himself on the other shoulder saying what he deep down feel is that he wants to go back to Madison Square Garden and stage this fight again, right? But you know, the powers that be, meaning his team, are trying to talk him out of it, point blank and period. They're trying to talk him out of it. You know, so negotiation will go smooth, because Andy Ruiz, at the end of the day, just wants this fight to take place in the States. That's one of the stipulations he has. The Team Joshua clearly don't want this fight to take place in the States, as Eddie Hearn originally, as soon as 2 hours after the fight, came out and said the rematch would be in the UK. So Eddie Hearn is stating that Andy Ruiz knows that he must fight where they say he must fight, which is in the UK. He has no say-so in where this fight takes place, although he would like to believe so, because his star power grew. You know, he would like to believe that he has more, more bargaining power than he actually has. You know, so he's saying that, but there's no issue. But you could tell within the interview that he's saying there's no issue, because Andy Ruiz understands what he's legally obligated to do. So it's not that there is not an issue. It's that you're using the fact that he already signed the contract, which I can't say he's using it against him, but he's using that as a sticking point to say that there's no issues in negotiations, when in fact there are issues in negotiations. That's why the fight hasn't been announced, because Andy Ruiz is dragging his feet. So in fact there is issues, but what Eddie Hearn is stating, there is no issue, because there's nothing he could do about it. You see, there's a difference. So he's saying there's no issue because there ain't nothing he could do about it. He got to do what we say, right? So it's not the fact that Andy Ruiz is on board with everything they're saying. It's the fact that they're holding him accountable for his legal obligations. And that's the reason why he's stating that there is no issues. But in fact, there is issues, because Andy Ruiz is identifying his star power, his worth, and he's trying to stand on his square. And there's an issue, because he really doesn't have a square to stand on because he agreed to something that he shouldn't have, but he was jumping the broom. You know, he was overzealous and jumped at the opportunity, which is good because now he was able to prove himself, right? But in doing so, in proving yourself, right, now you're contractually bound to something that now you look at it and you're saying, man, I should not have. You regret. He's regretting that he did that, but there's nothing he could do about it. So I think that this is going to drag on even more. I think that this is Andy Ruiz is going to drag this as long as possible. I think Andy Ruiz could possibly dragging it until the point where he feel like Anthony Joshua is just going to be like, man, whatever, man. I just want the rematch. Let it take place in the States. Just give him that. Let's go over there. Let's make it happen. I'm going to be victorious. I think that Andy Ruiz Jr. is trying to drag Anthony Joshua into deep waters and have him, you know, just submit and be like, you know what, whatever, man. Right? Because right now in negotiations, Eddie Hearn and Team Joshua are doing their best to force the fact and hold Andy Ruiz Jr. to his word and to his legal obligations and have that fight staged in the UK. I believe that Anthony Joshua really wants to fight in Madison Square Garden, but on the other hand, he feels like if it happens at home, whatever. I just wanted my get back, right? And so that's the holdup. Because Eddie Hearn doesn't like Anthony Joshua's chances. They don't have belief in Anthony Joshua could come overseas again, come to New York and be victorious. They don't believe it. They don't believe in him. And Anthony Joshua should look at this situation and say, listen, man, you guys don't think I could do it. And they play, little do they know, but they're placing doubt in his brain. Little do they know, they're placing doubt in his brain. You understand? Because they're not fully on board with him coming to the States. And that's placing doubt in him. That's telling him, oh man, I don't know if you should do it. Because if you truly believe that he could be victorious against Andy Ruiz Jr., you would say the fight could take place anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? But they truly don't believe that. They don't believe that. They think that Andy Ruiz Jr. is the better fighter. And they want every advantage possible for Anthony Joshua. They want him to have every advantage, every comfortability. You know, they want no excuses. They want him to be at home. Familiarity is stronger than anything. And he's familiar with fighting in the UK. He's familiar with his training regimen over there. He's familiar with the time zone. They understand this. And so truly, they don't believe that he could be victorious. And so they want him to have every advantage possible going into this competition. Because they need these advantages to level the playing field. And if I was Andy Ruiz Jr., I would use that to my advantage as well. Understand that. Your team don't believe in you. They don't believe that you could beat me anywhere. Because a fight is a fight and a ring is a ring, point blank and period. As Errol Spence so elegantly put it when he fought Kell Brook over in the UK. Man, I don't care how many UK fans he got. I don't care who's over there. I don't care about none of that. A ring is a ring and a fight is a fight. Once the bell ring, it's me and him in a boxing ring like it's anywhere else. Now he's going to have fans giving him extra energy and cheering him on, but the fact remains that I believe in myself and I'm going to defeat him. You see what I'm saying? They don't believe that. They believe he needs to be back home. They believe that he needs every advantage possible to beat Andy Ruiz, and that says a lot. That speaks volumes. And Anthony Joshua should identify what they're saying to him without saying it. And maybe they are telling him, listen, man, this is a tough fight, and we need it to be on our soil, in our backyard. Remember Rocky? Remember Rocky 2? When Apollo Creed's trainer told him after the fight, remember Apollo was like, because immediately after the first fight with Apollo Creed and Rocky, he told Rocky there'll be no rematch. But as he went home and his competitive juices started to flow and his pride started to kick in, he started to say, man, I need to run that back. I'm better than that dude. But remember his trainer told him, hey, man, we need to stay clear of this dude. He has nothing to lose. And he's like a little resistant rock that will not break. Stay away from this dude. We don't need this dude. Remember that? He said, we don't need this dude. Go to something else. We don't need this dude, man. And Apollo was like, give me that dude. Because his competitive nature, his pride, right, kicked in. And so he said, I want Rocky. But his trainer them was like, man, we don't need this dude, champ. Leave him alone. Let him stay where he stayed. If he's under a rock, let him stay under that rock. Don't go barking up that tree, man. We don't need that type of problems. And Apollo was like, y'all don't believe I could beat this dude? That further motivated him to fight Rocky, because his team felt like they didn't believe in him. They didn't think he could be victorious. So that further motivated Apollo to push for that fight, because he felt disrespected by his own team. Y'all don't believe I could win? Remember Rocky 4, when his wife told him, you seen him, you know how strong he is. You can't win. And that motivated Rocky, right? And that needs to motivate Anthony Joshua. But we seen that turned out well for Rocky Balboa. That didn't turn out so well for Apollo Creed, right? But we know it's a movie. So, man, that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Shouts out to Coogan Cassius and IFLTV for having this interview, man. Go check it out, man. That's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Eddie Hearn says Andy Ruiz Jr. has no word. He has no leg to stand on. He has no opinion. He does what we say. That's it. Point blank and period. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.